Well, good morning, everybody. Okay, y'all have to respond or we stop right here. All right. Very good. Like a bunch of junior high kids. Well, my name is Bruce Fielder, and it's my privilege to be serving as the worship associate today. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old. You are an essential part of our celebration today. Whether it's your first time or your 1000th Sunday in our midst, we are stronger because you're with us. And we are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. And now, if you will stand, you get to say hello again to each other. Okay. For those who are still standing and those who are sitting but standing in heart, let's join in our opening affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humankind in fellowship. For these high purposes do we unite in worship. Thank you. Please be seated. Our chalice lighting today is from an anonymous source. We come from many places along different paths, bringing different truths. We come with different histories and different realities, and yet we come together as one people, with faith that we can use our differences to heal ourselves and each other, to bring wholeness to a fractured world. We come seeking to find community, to find acceptance of who we are. In this place, we may find others who are much like us and others who are much different. May our lit chalice remind us that we are a people taught by different stories with many voices, but always one people, working for a world where love works to create justice and justice gives birth to peace. And now, Kathryn English will come up and share our first reading.
Good morning. Chuck's title this morning made me think of the Greeks, and I got out Aesop's Fables. It had been a long time since I had looked at that, and there were a couple of stories that were surprising to me, and so I picked one to share with y'all today. But if you know me, you know that I like a story with a happy ending, and this one does not end well. But we will reconcile that with the reading. But this is The Frogs Who Desired a King. The frogs were tired of governing themselves. They had so much freedom that it had spoiled them, and they did nothing but sit around croaking in a bored manner and wishing for a government that could entertain them with the pomp and display of royalty and rule them in a way to make them know they were being ruled. No milk and water government for them, they declared. So they sent a petition to Jupiter asking for a king. Jupiter saw what simple and foolish creatures they were, but to keep them quiet and make them think they had a king, he threw down a huge log, which fell into the water with a great splash. The frogs hid themselves among the reeds and grasses, thinking the new king to be some fearful giant. But they soon discovered how tame and peaceable King Log was. In a short time, the younger frogs were using him for a diving platform, while the older frogs made him a meeting place where they complained loudly to Jupiter about the government. To teach the frogs a lesson, the ruler of the gods now sent a crane to be king of Frogland. The crane proved to be a very different sort of king from old King Log. He gobbled up the frogs left and right, and they soon saw what fools they had been. In mournful croaks, they begged Jupiter to take away the cruel tyrant before they should all be destroyed. "How now," cried Jupiter, "are you not yet content? You have what you asked for, and so you have only yourselves to blame for your misfortunes."
Thank you, Kathryn. Well, now is the time where we get to share the good things going on in your lives, some mediocre things, maybe some things that aren't so great. But this is your chance to come up and share joys and concerns. And so we can all help the burdens become lighter, perhaps, or experience a greater joy. So if you have a joy and concern, you get to come up and light a candle, give us your name and share that with us. And I'll start it off here. This is a joy and kind of a sadness as well, but it's mostly joy. James Dorries is now back with Eileen Murphy and living in Houston at the same care facility that Eileen has been at, I guess, for 7 months now. So everything is packed up. His house will be going on the market, and he'll be living with Eileen for the rest of their natural lives down in Houston. And that's what he wanted most of all.
I'm Eric, and I have a candle of thanks and gratitude to our own John Hintz. I often think of John Hintz as our Pete Buttigieg. The man gets things done, and John did an incredible job of organizing and keeping going the 4-part Shauna Peebles seminar that we just finished up last Tuesday, I guess. Thank you, John. It was great.
good. I'll light one more candle for the unspoken joys and concerns that are with us today, but not openly shared. And now we have Eric Berg, who performed
for him. But that's where the song came from. In reading about that song and others that were Eddie Vedder's songs, it was an interesting collaboration between Sean Penn and the musicians. Sean Penn gave the musicians the film to watch and carte blanche to write what they wanted to write for the film, and so they ended up writing or mostly Eddie Vedder ended up writing a lot of songs, but it's kind of a strange collaboration of there was no music before he saw the film. So there you go. Oh, it's a mystery to me. We have agreed with which we have agreed. And you think you have to want more than you need. Till you have it all, you won't be free. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. When you want more than you have, you think you need. And when you think more than you want, your thoughts begin to bleed. I think I need to find a bigger place. When you have more than you think you need more space. Society, you're a crazy breed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me. There are those thinking more or less is more. But if less is more, how are you keeping score? Every point you make, your level drops. Kinda like you're starting from the top, and you can't do that. Society, you're a crazy breed. Hope you're not lonely without me. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me. Society, have mercy on me. Hope you're not angry if I disagree. Society, crazy indeed. I hope you're not lonely without me.
Thank you, Eric. And now, Kathryn gets to come up for one more reading. Hope it's a little more uplifting.
I promised, and Maya Angelou, Angelou, she'll be the deliverer of that more hopeful ending. This is a brave and startling truth. We, this people, on a small and lonely planet, traveling through casual space, past aloof stars, across the way of indifferent suns, to a destination where all signs tell us it is possible and imperative that we learn a brave and startling truth. And when we come to it, to the day of peacemaking, when we release our fingers from fists of hostility and allow the pure air to cool our palms, when we come to it, when the curtain falls on the minstrel show of hate and faces sooted with scorn are scrubbed clean, when battlefields and coliseum no longer rake our unique and particular sons and daughters up with the bruised and bloody grass to lie in identical plots in foreign soil. When the rapacious storming of the churches, the screaming racket in the temples have ceased, when the pennants are waving gaily and the banners of the world tremble stoutly in the good, clean breeze. When we come to it, when we let the rifles fall from our shoulders and children dress their dolls in flags of truce, when landmines of death have been removed and the aged can walk into evenings of peace, when religious ritual is not perfumed by the incense of burning flesh and childhood dreams are not kicked awake by nightmares of abuse, when we come to it, then we will confess that not the pyramids with their stones set in mysterious perfection, nor the gardens of Babylon hanging as eternal beauty in our collective memory, not the Grand Canyon kindled into delicious color by western sunsets, nor the Danube flowing its blue soul into Europe, not the sacred peak of Mount Fiji stretching to the rising sun, neither Father Amazon nor Mother Mississippi, who without favor nurture all creatures in the depths and on the shores. These are not the only wonders of the world. When we come to it, we, this people, on this minuscule and kithless globe, who reach daily for the balm, the blade, and the dagger, yet who petition in the dark for tokens of peace. We, this people on this mote of matter, in whose mouths abide cankerous words which challenge our very existence, yet out of those same mouths come songs of such exquisite sweetness that the heart falters in its labor and the body is quieted into awe. We, this people, on this small and drifting planet, whose hands can strike with such abandon that in a twinkling life is sapped from the living, yet those same hands can touch with such healing, irresistible tenderness, that the haughty neck is happy to bow and the proud back is glad to bend. Out of such chaos, of such contradiction, we learn that we are neither devils nor divines. When we come to it, we, this people, on this wayward floating body, created on this earth, of this earth, have the power to fashion for this earth a climate where every man and every woman can live freely without sanctimonious piety, without crippling fear. When we come to it, we must confess that we are the possible. We are the miraculous, the true wonder of this world. That is when, and only when, we come to it.
Thank you, Kathryn. That was lovely. Well, now let's take just a few moments to kind of quiet ourselves and just take a little time. This is just a little saying or little words from a UU minister. Blessed Spirit of my life, give me strength through stress and strife. Help me live with dignity and let me know serenity. Fill me with a vision, clear my mind of fear and confusion. When my thoughts flow restlessly, let peace find a home in me. Let's take just a few moments and meditate on that. Thank you. Well, now, it is always a privilege to do this the first Sunday of every month, which is why I book it way far in advance, to introduce Dr. Chuck Fisher. And Chuck has been a minister in the Disciples of Christ Church for over 55 years. And he doesn't know it yet, but we've pretty much adopted him as kind of our interim sort of minister, at least once a month. After being active here in the Panhandle area's Christian Church of the Southwest, he helped start Chalice Abbey in 2012 as a means to promote fair trade, retail practices, as well as reach out to folks who are looking for a place to gather in a spiritual contemplative setting. If you haven't been to Chalice Abbey, you should make the time to go and look at their retail store, and you can attend some very good musical programs there at least once a month as well. So, Chuck, welcome back. Please come on up.
I'm at the dentist for my 6-month checkup. Charles, my dentist calls me Charles, "Charles," he says, "have you been chewing rocks?" He says that every time. He's old, like me. And it's a little embarrassing because despite my dentist's instructions not to, I often grind my teeth while sleeping, hence the rock-chewing slur. Now, why do any of us grind teeth? Well, I looked into the cause, and first off, I discover I'm not alone. For example, in my research, I read that during the pandemic, dentists in Australia were overrun with fitting mouth guards and fixing cracked teeth. One dentist was quoted as saying, "Normally in a year you may see a handful of these patients, but we were seeing 3 or 4 of them a day." Cracked teeth, pain in the neck, in the jaw, face pain. Why? And the dentist theorized it had to do with stress. The root cause, I couldn't resist that pun, the root cause of this is anxiety. The dentist blames stress and anxiety for people grinding their teeth at night. So, anxiety. Anxiety, what do we have to be anxious about? There's nothing going around now. Now, some of you may wonder about the titles for my talks, Now, usually, not always, but usually I have a point. And in this case, I do. Thyestes is a 1st century Roman play or tragedy by Seneca. It tells the story of a rivalry between twin brothers, Artias and Thyestes. They're battling for control over the city of Mycenae. Murder, treachery, exile, and cannibalism take place. Typical Netflix fare. But what stays in my mind, now see, this is where you get value out of your college education. This just came back to my mind from taking one of the courses. But I remembered the chorus and the messenger line from that play. The chorus says some really terrible stuff has happened. And the chorus asks, "Is nature capable of even greater horrors?" And the messenger replies, "You think no worse is possible? This is prelude." You think no worse is possible? This is prelude. Which fits nicely into my underlying anxiety as to why I grind my teeth. So, where am I going with this line of reasoning this morning? Having heard me a number of times, you know that mostly I'm optimistic. You expect that in my talk I'll have hopeful words for you, and that's a fair expectation. However, long ago I came to recognize, as Ralph Waldo Emerson said, a foolish consistency is the hobgoblin of little minds. And so, wishing not to be foolishly consistent or of little mind, I've been trying to make some sense of this to reduce this anxiety by reading the 1st century Stoics. Philosophers living in a time that wasn't unlike our own. They're generally known for being clear thinking and realistic. So, do I find hope from the Stoics? Not so much. You see, it's not hope. The Stoics were not fans of hope. They considered it wishful thinking. They considered it a denial of reality. For example, Seneca, the same guy that wrote that Hallmark movie play that I just described. He was asked for advice from a friend who was facing a serious lawsuit, and this lawsuit would threaten his friend to end his career. It would ruin his reputation. And so he's asking for advice, and Seneca gives him advice. He says to him, "You may expect that I will advise you to picture a happy outcome and to rest in the allurements of hope. I'm going to conduct you to peace of mind through another route." The route? "If you wish to put off all worry, assume that what you fear is going to happen will happen. Cease to hope, and you will cease to fear." And elsewhere he says, "Hope and fear go together. They are as one. If you have hope, then you have fear. Your fear that the hope will not be realized." So, Seneca says the price of peace of mind is giving up hope. Isn't that wonderful? Jeez. Another Stoic, Epictetus, says there is only one way to happiness, and that is to cease worrying about things which are beyond our power or our will. He says that when something is out of your control, then you need to let the anxiety go and let the situation take its course. To sum it up and oversimplify the Stoics, but their basic outlook is this: the only things within our control are our character, our actions and responses, and how we deal with others. Now, I've shared this quote with you before, but I wanted to revisit it. It's from Sebastian Junger's recent book, My Time of Dying, where he describes what really matters. Junger says the only question is whether we're with people we love or not. There is no other thing, no belief or religion or faith. There's just that. Being with people we love. So going back to the Stoics, what's within our control? The only things within our control are our character, our actions and responses, and how we deal with others. So how we deal with others. I think many of us have experienced it. Many of us have seen it. It's the most terrible outcome of the troubled times of rancorous division in which we are living. It's been the fracturing of relationships. Friends and family alienated. How we deal with others. How do we deal with those kinds of situations? Is that within our control? Adrienne Marie Brown is a writer and a social activist, and I heard her in a recent interview in Kristen Tippett's On Being program. She was describing her relationship with her grandfather. She said, "There was a long time ago when I wrestled with how to relate to this 6'2" white, Christian evangelical, hunting, horse-riding man. I, his thick, interracial, queer, outspoken, radical granddaughter. He grew up Bible thumping. You were expected to go door to door and really make sure that everybody knew and everybody was on board with Jesus. When I came out to him, when I came out to my grandparents, they initially cut me off. They were like, 'Don't come around here no more.' But my grandfather, the same as when my mother came to him and said, 'I've married a black man,' My grandfather, his root in love and his root in Christianity was deeper than even the socialization of hatred and small-mindedness. And so that always came through. I knew, I was like, if I can just look him in the eye, if I can just be in his presence, I know he'll sense my spiritual well-being, because he had a real sense for that. So I went to see them down in South Carolina after a period of staying away, and it was awkward. It was awkward, but he immediately, we were just sitting together. He took me and he hugged me, and we sat together and we talked. And at one point, we just stood up and looked at each other as children of God. It's the only way I can describe it, she says. And I said to him, Adrian, Marie Brown said to him, I am a child of God. I am a divine being. And the work I am doing is divine work. And it may look different from what you're doing, but I think it's the same work. And he just held me. And there was such peace between us. There was such peace between us. And then she says, and when he passed, I knew we were good. I knew we were at peace. I felt a blessing. He was able to see me across all the barriers that his shaping had set up. What's within our control? How we choose to deal with others. I knew we were at peace. I felt a blessing. He was able to see me across all the barriers his shaping had set up. So maybe there's hope after all.
Thank you, Chuck. Thank you. Now is the time where we get to pass the plate, as it used to be said in the Baptist church. Probably still is. But here at the fellowship, we like to talk about giving of our time, our talent, and our treasure. So please give as the bowls come around. For those that may be watching live on our YouTube or Facebook channels, you can also donate by going to our YouTube page and using the big blue donate button at uuamarillo.org. If you've made a financial pledge this year, please keep paying towards that. I guess the QR code works. Yes. Does it? Okay. It's good. That's good. Very good. So, our first announcement. As you know, we've been having, some of our leaders have been meeting with the Just Texas group, and we had a congregational meeting a couple of weeks ago to look at this program for becoming a reproductive freedom member congregation. And we're going to have a vote on that after the service next Sunday. And as you can see, there's 3 levels of engagement, and we're already at level 2 just on the fact that we exist and the things that we believe and want to support. A fact sheet will be passed out shortly before the vote takes place. So if you're a member, you get a chance to vote, so please stick around after the 11 o'clock service for that vote. Our circle dinners are coming back. We stopped doing that because of the pandemic. And then Claudia Stravato says it's time to start them again, so we're going to start them. I mean, that's all there is to it. But senior members of our fellowship host a circle dinner, and the idea is to have some of the more longtime members get to meet some of the newer members. And there's, I think, 5 hosts that are out there in the small table that are waiting to have people sign up to meet at their place for real good food. And I've had dinners at most of these places, and they have really good food. So keep that in mind as you sign up. And the first one we're going to start is in September. I am not sure yet of the actual date because I just don't know it, but we'll get that announced in plenty of time. Say again?
It varies depending on which dinner you sign up for.
That makes sense. It varies on whichever dinner and host you sign up for.
Sign-ups are in the lobby.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Ken and Jean Harris host every other Sunday the Existential Exclamation Discussion Group, and they will be holding that today at 3:30. So if you are into having some really good discussions, I'm not sure what the topic will be. It doesn't matter. Ken picks out good topics. So feel free to come up here at 3:30. Craft for a Cause, Kathryn English runs that every third Saturday. Nothing Much Buddhist Group, we continue to meet on Zoom on Monday evenings. The Book Club, Dick Mosley runs that, 4th Tuesday of each month. Knowledge Seekers, every morning here at 10 o'clock. And the Adult RE is meeting every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock in the large RE room as well. So you have lots of options to choose from. Upcoming services, we've got a good lineup here, thanks to John and Claudia and Ann Hicks. One of our fellow members, Arana Hagan, next Sunday. Jackie Kingston, you may remember her as the former anchor on the KAMR TV station. She is now the CEO and executive editor of an online newspaper called Amarillo Tribune, which is very well done. I put the link in our newsletter, but you can always find it by just doing a search, Amarillo Tribune, on whatever search engine you want. And then our own Dr. Steve Urban will be talking about health indicators following that Sunday. As we extinguish our chalice to close out this session, keep in mind those that are not here today, but maybe visiting online. This is from one of our past presidents of the UUA, Robin Gray. The flame is extinguished, but not our hope for the future, our courage in the face of crisis, or the love we share in all the world. And we do have our potluck lunch today, and it sure smells good in the kitchen, so stick around if you want some really good food for lunch. Now, if you'll please stand and bow to your spirit, we will have our closing song.
Spirit of life, come unto me, sing in my heart all the surge of compassion, blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice, roots hold me close, wings set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
And our closing statement, may the fellowship of this hour touch and move our lives until we come again together. Thank you. and go in peace.